Yo, what is good? My anime faithful, what is good, yo? Guys, Black Clover. Um, I feel like they took my advice a little bit quicker than I expected. Uh, this week we instantly all of a sudden are uh shown that Black Clover is much more intelligent than they were letting off with having, I guess, a little bit less interest in certain characters, and that kind of played a role of why we didn't see as long of fights and um, a full episode worthy. Uh, the only reason why this episode seemingly had any reason of going on for as long as it did was the backstory covered up the second half of the overall fighting like pretty easily. So with that being done, we go into what people want to see is the battle, and then it's a captain, so it's kind of obvious that they can easily blow through the whole interaction between the two because of the way they chose to fight, in the sense of they used elements. And I guess what they're saying with his magic, the captain, he should be able to make. He said he can make any attribute. What um, I'm guessing that does include something as like metal or just like simple stuff like I don't know, just stuff like anything that's magic and that's being created from just these people, like from Grimlars in general, he might be able to recreate just by when he sees them. I can't tell just yet, but if that is the case, anybody he goes against, maybe besides like Asta, for instance, he can get a pretty huge advantage, not only countering the person's move while it's coming at him, but he can also hit you at the same time with that countering attack, which is pretty broken in this week's episode, to say the least, with him pretty much one manning his squad. Like, he didn't need anybody on his team, and lo and behold, everybody on his team gets carried by him. So it's one of these moments where I was like, where are the captains? Like, why wouldn't the captains be here? And then he shows up to kind of fill in that role of, oh, were captains not supposed to join? And then the Wizard King just being like, it's nice to see your powers. Like, you're really cool. I want to see what you do in this fight against somebody. So yeah, you're fine. Like that seemingly was the only saving grace behind why he could even participate. So not only do we get to see a captain that we haven't seen, we get his backstory, how he pretty much just wanted to paint something that wasn't coming out the way he wanted it, and he just kept going off on a tangent, and whenever those paintings weren't something he wanted, he would just self-destruct them or completely put enough magic power into it that it would just explode. And thus he was just destroying his room over and over, and the butler comes through trying to stop him, and he just keeps throwing magic behind him, not looking, of course, so he doesn't feel guilty, or he doesn't care to see what he's damaging. He just cares to have his way. So he keeps throwing attacks behind him, messing up the butler, and the butler gets a good slap on him. I was like, really? Like, that's the first time I've ever seen a butler get to do something like that in quite some time and not be like completely threatened to die right after, like that's a very interesting butler relationship right there, including the way he was acting when he first entered the room. That's how I kind of figured he would act as soon as he saw that he was hit by the butler. So I was wrong. Seeing the blood and seeing that this big gash from this fight is the reason why this butler has the scar that he does is kind of sad. But at the same time, it definitely brings a little bit of that backstory more full circle when you see how bloody he was in there, and to see that huge scar on his face, why he probably looked so scary, like intimidating to people as much as he did in this week's episode. But other than that, man, they were pretty self-contained with this whole fight and just giving us overall what this was going to be about, him and his squad, and how they're just as threatening, if not more threatening, than anybody else who has been shown so far. So really happy that they're doing that. I'm just surprised that after seeing all of this, we still kind of don't know how many episodes they could pull this off with. I mean, to be fair, they have another character that they already introduced through this week's episode, sounding like he's going to get a backstory through the previews that you get a little sneak peek of, and then not only that, he's a very high rank in the family of Noel's family, so clearly he could get a lot to happen for him, or they could just body him or let him win quickly or something. But he's going against Klaus and Luck, which are two people who definitely I could see going for, like, at least going more than one round. So hopefully they do. I would hate to see Luck get knocked out first round, including how he's going to want to revenge that defeat, and probably going to fight everybody in the Black Bull to do so. So let's hope he wins so he doesn't look that bad in front of everybody that actually passes the first round. Because, I mean, even the guy with the baseball bat passed the first round. So if he doesn't pass and they don't get, like, to have a fight with each other, like an all-out fight with each other, that would be dope if they actually do that. So now I kind of getting my hopes up there. So hopefully Luck wins and then. So other than that, though, I really did enjoy this. But what I was saying about in the beginning was, I was saying seeing the Portal guy, like the guy who pretty much saved Asta and made Asta even capable of keeping up with some of the fighting that was going on against that crazy dog demon looking guy. That really kind of put into perspective like how useful someone who isn't about combat could really be, you know. And I like the aspect to think that whenever something like that's going to come around again, he'll be there to back up Asta to give him that type of boost. But at the same time, man, it's crazy to think that he's supposed to just like keep up with all of this fighting and maybe even go against his brother. But my problem was his fight ended much quicker than everybody else's because of, you know, I guess teamwork and combination attacks and stuff along those lines. But, you know, no backstories were really told, so I guess that was kind of their saving grace for why the episodes were just more upbeat and they could like spit out two fights quickly. So maybe we'll get like two fights backstory in the next episode, two fights backstory. I don't know, but so far I don't have a problem with this format. Like, if they're gonna take 5 episodes, 6 episodes of this, of just going through the tournament and making them drawn out, like reasonable drawn out fights, be pretty happy with that, or at least try to enjoy it. So with all that being said, let me know how you guys are feeling about this format with Black Clover. I honestly didn't see it coming like this, but it's still pretty cool. Not to mention Asta just being Asta, then freaking yelling at everything, of course. But to think that this show is just skyrocketing through all of its episodes and seemingly not having a stop in place, I honestly give the studio so much credit for putting this much faith in a series that people were clamoring about. But then when it came out, there was some backlash with some of the voice acting and just the overall feel of the show for a little bit for some people. And even probably still to this day, there's still some people that are relatively against this show, so I can understand why there's things to dislike and things to like. So just like every show, but it was nice to see that there was this much support put behind it. I mean, 70 plus episodes for an anime on its first go, and without even like really taking a true long break or saying this is a finale anywhere in there, is absolutely nuts to me. And it's something to be cherished in this time and age. Is these people put out all this work, and now we're getting to see, just what that work looks like in the end game when we have so many series ending, and this one is pretty much just all of a sudden coming to its like threshold. It's finally getting into the swing of stuff, even though it already was very entertaining from the start. They're still pushing the envelope. So with that being said, everybody, I hope you have an amazing day, night, evening, whenever you're watching this. And I am the Anime G, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.